Hi, I'm Trisha Taylor, and I'm excited to be with you today to talk to you about CSS layouts. The power of CSS layouts is as limitless as your imagination. These two examples of websites have the same HTML. The difference is in the coding. The same goes along with this website. How do they make the changes? It is with the knowledge that they have, because knowledge is power. They understand how to flow and position their elements and how to utilize a flexbox. Floating is used for positioning and layout on web pages. You have the left, right, none, and inherit float values. If you were to use the none, this is the way that your image would look. As of right now, this is just the basic HTML with no CSS coding for the image. Here on this side, I utilized the right float. You can see that my image was positioned to the right. Had I used the left float, my image would have been over here to the left. This is the code right here that you can utilize for the float. You can use float right, or you could change it to left if you want it on the left. If you don't want it to be affected, you want it to be the same as the HTML, you would use none. Inherit actually lets it inherit that of its closest element that's surrounding it. Position specifies the type of positioning method used for an element. You have the static, relative, fixed, absolute, and sticky values. This is an example of the positioning relative. Here on the left, I did not use any positioning. On the right, you can see the difference. Here, there is difference as to where it is relative to this line. And I also put a slight border around it to just kind of help it to stand out. The coding for this would be to use position relative. Here on the bottom, you can see that I used a fixed element. I chose to have this fixed here, and it will stay here even if you scroll throughout the page. It will not move. This right here, you just utilize position fixed for the coding on this. And of course, you can change any of these bottom right, width, and border. It just changes where the placement is within your HTML code. On this one, not only did I keep this one down here, but I chose to utilize an absolute value. This is a child element within the relative ancestor. In order to do this, I kept the relative positioning here, and then I added an absolute position, as you can see down here, for the second element, or the child element. Here, I wanted to show you how this is a sticky. You can see that it's cutting off my head and that it's cutting through this. That is because this element here is meant to stay there. Even as you scroll up and down, it will not move. The coding for that would be position -webkit -sticky. And don't forget your colons and semicolons, because you know that it doesn't work without those. Okay, we're to the flexbox. And really, the flexbox makes the previous two obsolete. It makes it easier to design flexible, responsive layout structures without using the float or positioning. Like I said, they are now obsolete. Well, almost. There are still some uses for them. The flexbox properties are flex direction, flex wrap, flex flow, justify content, align items, and align content. But before we can get into the flex properties, we need to first create a container to hold our flex items. Here, the container is the blue background, and then it's the 3 flex items within it. In order to create this container, I utilize display semicolon flex, display flex semicolon. And that is how I did the container. And then, of course, I did color the background right here of the flex items within the container. This up here colors the background of the actual flex container. So here we have the flex direction. Within the flex direction, we can have a column. We can reverse our column. We have row and row reverse as well. Here, I created a column within the flex. In order to do this, within your code, you want to do flex direction column. You can also do column reverse. Column reverse will make it start from the bottom, putting the bottom first and then the top last. Here you can see that I did row reverse. So I created a row, but I wanted to show you how it does the reverse. You can see that 3 is now the first element. Then you have the second element and the first. And this is how you write the code. You have flex dash direction colon row dash reverse and then semicolon. Or if you just want it to be a regular row, just put row in there instead. With flex wrap, you have wrap, no wrap, and wrap reverse. Of course, no wrap indicates that it's going to be the same as the HTML. Okay, with the wrap, you can see that here with the smaller, if this was a smaller window, like on this side, it makes it so the element number 3 drops down to the bottom. This prevents it from having to scroll the page back and forth. So again, this is your regular window, and this is how it's utilized in a small window. To create this, we need to have flex dash wrap colon wrap. Again, if you don't want any wrap and want it to be the same as the HTML, you would do no wrap. Or if you wanted it in reverse order, thus indicating number 3 being first, you would use wrap reverse. Here we utilize flex flow. This sets both flex directions and flex wrap properties. So if you don't want to play with them individually, you can combine them with this. It's kind of the shorthand version. So here you can see the same as in the previous one, but in the code, we just do flex flow colon row wrap semicolon, and then of course you can change the backgrounds or whatever you would like to do. Okay, to justify the content, we have center, flex start, flex end, space around, and space between. Here, I chose to utilize the center first. I justified everything into the center. You can see that there's equal sides of blue on each side of this element. In order to do this, I simply did justify dash content center. And if you want it at the start, which would put it all the way over here to the right, you can do that. If you did it to the end, it would put it all the way to this end. And again, this is code. Okay, so space around and space between. I wanted to kind of show these side by side so you could see the difference. Here, you can see with the space around, it gives equal amount of space on both sides of this, as well as the top and the bottom. And this happens with each of these flex items. On this side, the space between, it makes sure the space in between the elements are the same. It doesn't care about what's on the side of the elements. In order to create the code for this, you would utilize the justify dash content colon space around or space between. With the align items, we utilize center, flex start, flex end, stretch, and baseline. Here, we have the center, which you can see It's not centered in the blue box as far as horizontally, but vertically, you can see that on the bottom, it has the same amount of space as on the top. So that is how it adjusted it. Over here on Flex Start, it's kind of the default. It will just put it up to the top left-hand corner. And for the Align Items Flex End, it will bring it down to the very bottom left-hand corner. In order to write the code for these, you would do Align Items Center if you wanted it center, Flex Start for the start, or Flex End for the end. You also can utilize the stretch and baseline. In this Flex container, you can see that this, which is stretched, it stretches each Flex item to go the width of the background, of the blue background. Here, the baseline, it actually does a line along right here for the baseline. And it helps it so that each baseline is the same. For Align Content, we get to utilize the space around again, the space between, stretch, center, Flex Start, and Flex End. Here, I've shown examples for space around, space between, and stretched. On the space around, you can see that it has the same space around again here throughout it. On this one, it creates the space, this is the space between like the upper and the bottom. It doesn't matter about the sides on this one, so this is only controlling between the top and the bottom of it. So it has the same space on the top and bottom all the way through here. On this one, with the space between, it only matters about what is between each of the rows. So you can see the space between there. And then the stretch makes it so that the floating items within the container box becomes the same space that would be used back over in these two. So it just stretches it and makes it be a little bit larger. To write this code, you would do Align Content, stretch, space between, or around, depending on what you would like. Okay, we have the center, start, and the end. Here again, it aligns it in the center. Your page, the start, it goes up to the top, and the end goes down on the bottom. Pretty well much the same as far as that goes. And the coding for that would be just the align-content, center, flex start, or flex end, depending on what you want to utilize. Okay, I know that we went through this pretty quickly, but there is a lot of fun that you can have with creating these different designs for the websites that you are working on right now. I would recommend that you go to these sites. We have the float, position, and the flexbox are all at the w3schools.com. And the starting website images, if you want to go and look at some really cool sites that all use the same HTML, this would be the link for that. Thank you for being here and for listening to my presentation. I hope you all have a great day.